HR business sections, and today we have Nicholas in our midst. Nicholas is he will tell much about himself when it's his turn, and we are looking at how to position yourself from the recruiter's point of view. So Nicholas has been an HR manager for a very long time, and he's here to take us through what he has for this evening. So as usual, just mute yourself. If you have any question, you can use the chat button. And after his presentation, we'll have time to ask questions and he will answer. So thank you so much. Kwabena, you're welcome to our section this evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Leslie. It's a great honor to present to such an honorable platform. I'm very much honored. And I hope you enjoy me.
Sure, please. Let's go, yeah.
Yes. So good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas Kwabena Amaning. I work with Vodafone. I'm in charge of talent acquisition and talent management. I've been in Vodafone for the past year and a half. I have a total of 10 plus years experience in recruitment, talent acquisition, and talent management. Before I joined Vodafone, I was the recruitment manager for SGS, Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. And I've also set up a recruitment firm called Adexon in Ghana. And I've worked in Nigeria as well in terms of recruitment in the oil and gas space. I started my recruitment career with Learning Services. So recruitment has been my baby up to now. So I'm hoping you can learn a lot from me and I also learn a lot from me. I'm praying that this session will be an interactive session as much as possible. I'm not going to bore you with any jargons or any big words. I'll be practical as possible so that we all enjoy this session. So that is by way of introduction. I've been asked to speak on positioning yourself for employment, a recruiter's perspective. So today's outline, I will share a few food for thought. I will delve into the gap between education and employment. Then I'll introduce the topic, and then we'll do a self-introspection. Then we'll talk about something you need to know about yourself or you don't even know yourself. So my food for thought is by Benjamin Franklin. He said, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, you are right. So after this session, whether you think you can get a job or you cannot get a job after this session, you are right. And if I were you, I would think that I can get a job after this. The emphasis here is on your attitude towards work. Life is all about attitude. If you don't have the right attitude, you will not get the right things coming your way. But if you have the right attitude, you get the right things coming your way. Now, I will want to narrate a story about our belief system. So there was this man who was working in an elephant camp, and he realized that this huge elephant was being tied down by a small rope to a small stick. So he asked the people who were in the camp, why is the elephant not freeing itself from it? Because it can easily do that. And the guardian at the camp told him that since they were children or they were babies, they have been conditioned that when they tie those things around their leg, they cannot move. And because of that, even though they grow as adults, they still have that thinking in their heads. So they are not able to free themselves from the thinking. So today, I will challenge you to think differently from the way you've been thinking before. If you are not finding the right job, that shouldn't box you and think that you cannot get the right job. With the right attitude, you can break free from that thinking and you should be able to get the right job and land the right job and be happy with yourself. So that is an admonition I'm giving you, and I'm challenging you to that from today, break out from that thinking and know that you can. As children in Ghana, we've been made to think in a certain way that once you start schooling and you complete, you're supposed to do your national service. After national service, you have to get a job. After getting a job, you have to marry. After marrying, you give birth to children. And then it continues like that. It is always not like that. So you would have to find where you fit and carve a niche for yourself so that you can actually fit into the society in which you are. Now, I'm giving you something to think about. During this corona pandemic, you realize that a lot of companies have collapsed. But at the same time that the companies have collapsed, some companies are making more money than others are doing. It's the same with individuals. While some of people have lost their jobs, others are also even being called for multiple roles and multiple jobs. I have a role I'm filling now. I'm even chasing the person to just come so that we have interview. I'm not getting him for it. At the same time, during this corona era, people have lost their jobs as well. And it's all dependent on attitude and the value you have invested in yourself. You can see on the right side, I've listed the 10 most valuable companies in 2020. About 7 of them are technology companies. On the left side, we have companies which have even thrived even in the face of coronavirus. It's because they did something right. And then, according to research, by 2020, if you are an individual in a company and you don't have technology skills, you will not be fit in that organization again. So you realize that all these companies have something in common, which is technology and customer service. And if technology is what is going to drive the future jobs, then if you are not technologically savvy, this is the time for you to think if you want to work for these companies and even more. Now, we all know that when we are in school, we are not taught how to look for jobs. Most of us do what we call chew and pour, pass and forget. You study the courses, and then after that, you go write exams, you pass, and you come out. It is when you come out, It is when you come out that you realize that the world of work is totally different from the world of school. Most of us come out from school still wearing the hat of the school, the way we do things in school, instead of wearing a different cap when it comes to the world of work. I will explain further what I mean by that. I've had instances, I've interviewed a lot of people, they have come out of school, but the school is still in them. And you realize that that is affecting their ability to land jobs, because you have to get a different attitude and mentality if you want to work in a corporate institution, for example, Vodafone. Now, how do you do that? You have to master certain things. That is the job hunting skills and also presentation skills. It is very, very important for you to have these key skills to be able to land the dream job you are looking for. You also have to be very, very articulate and confident before you can land some of these jobs as well. Now, I want to share a few insights with you before I go to my main topic, the gap between education and employment. Now, from the statistics I'm going to read to you, the unfortunate reality is that less than 25% of MBAs and 20% of engineers and 10% of all graduates in India are found to be employable. That is less than 25% of MBA students. So 75% are unemployable. Yes. Leslie, can you hear me? Hello, Leslie. Hello, Leslie. Hello. 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 Leslie. Hello. Hello, Leslie.
Go ahead, please go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, I can hear you.
Okay. So I was saying that the gap between education and actual job is very yawning. And then this is the statistics I'm sharing with you now, that less than 25% of engineers are actually being employable. So they complete school and about 75% are not employable. Every year in India, only under 20% of employees or people who complete school are employed. The rest go waste or they don't find jobs. That is in India. In Ghana, we have a different situation. There are two scenarios that can happen. It's either we produce a lot of students and the job market is not big enough, or we have a big job market and we don't have enough students to produce. Now, whichever way it is, you realize that there's still a yawning gap between education and employment. So once you come out of school, you have to become employable. Otherwise, you will not get the employment you need. Now, it is not that the jobs are not available. The jobs are very much available. But if you don't have the right skill set, you will not get the employment you are looking for. So the statistics I've just showed on the screen shows that in Ghana, the unemployment rate is 6.78%, which I doubt anyway, but that is the statistics I got. But then, the another statistics by Jeff Cox show that there are still 1.7 million more jobs than unemployed people. What it means is that the jobs are there, but people are still not finding jobs. As I'm talking to you in the current recruitment I'm doing, I have about 6 roles. I have tried as much as possible. I have not found the right people for the job. It's not like we don't have interviews. We don't source for candidates. We have, but we still don't get the people with the right set of skills we are looking for. So there are actually a lot of vacancies than you can even think of, but we don't have the right people to fill those jobs. So this session is basically going to help you to equip yourself to know what you need to do to be able to get these kind of jobs that are difficult to fill. Now, I'll just run through this shortly, and then I'll go to the main crux of the matter. Now, when you are getting a job, I'll go into details on before you even land the interview, what you need to do. And then when you land the interview, what you need to do. And after the interview, what you need to do. So currently, I'm just going to talk about when you are at the interview stage, what you are supposed to do or think of. Now, the first one is the CV. That is the pre-interview stage. Your CV is something that can take you to the recruiter. So doing a right CV is very, very important. I'll speak much into detail about CVs when I go to the following slides, because I have a lot to speak on that. I have seen a lot when it comes to CVs. The do's and the don'ts and what people are supposed not to do, but they still do it. I will explain into detail. So one, before your interview, you have to look at your CV well. Now, some people have different types of CVs. And then when they even apply for a job, they don't know which one they even use to apply for the job. So when they are going for interview, they print a different CV. The interviewer or the company also have a different CV. They are interviewing from that particular CV they have, and they ask you questions from it, and you don't seem to have a clue about it. Automatically, credibility is at stake here. So what I do is that I keep a folder. Every job I apply for, I name the company by that folder, and then I put the CV I use for that role inside that folder. So the moment the company calls me, I know which folder to pick that particular CV from. Go through to make sure that whatever I stated there, I can speak to it. That is the pre-interview stage. You go through your CV again, make sure that you are sure of what you have done. Otherwise, you go to the interview and your credibility will be at stake. We talk about length of CV. When you talk of length of CV, we have resume, we have CV. I will explain what it does, the differences in the subsequent chapters. Now, ideally, you can get people with about 10 pages of CV. For Christ's sake, I'm a recruiter. I'm going through about 500 CVs every day. I can go through even 5 pages of CV. It's a turn-off. It's a total turn-off. What I advise mostly is 2 pages, maximum 3 pages on a CV. If you cannot summarize your CV into 2-3 pages, then I'm not sure you're the right person for the job. You should keep the long CV when you have landed the interview and the recruiter wants to know more about you. Then you can send him the long CV with the 10 or whatever pages. But for applying for a job, your CV should not be maximum more than 3 pages. If you do that, it's a total turn-off for most recruiters, and they will not even look at the CV in the first place. Please, this is something you should take note of. So review your CV in the pre-interview stage. Now, your CV should also be very, very standardized. What I mean by standardized is, I will explain more later, but let me just give you a gist about it. Standardized means that when you go to Europass, it's a platform where you can get a lot of CV templates from. You look at them, they conform to most of the ways we want CVs to look like. So at Europass, you are able to get a gist or an idea of what a good CV should look like. So please go there and try and let your CV conform to what it's supposed to be. It should be standardized in a way that you should start with the most recent career experience first before you go to the latter ones. Well dated, and then your role title well described. You should also include your education as well, which is also very important, and a few achievements you have done in the past. These are very key on any CV and in a contact that you can be reached on. There are instances whereby you get a CV, you call the number, and there's one number missing. For Christ's sake, if you cannot even peruse your own CV to know that your contact number is not up to the number of digits it's supposed to be, or your CV, your email address is missing with one letter, and you still put it on your CV and you let me send an email and it bounced back, or you put your number there which is not up to the number of digits it's supposed to be, I call and I don't get you. It's a total turn-off. That is something you should really, really look at when you are doing that. Now, another thing I also advise is that before the interview or before you land a job or a job interview, you have to adapt your CV to the role it is being advertised for. It is never right for you to say you have one CV and you use that CV for every role you apply for. Please, it's very, very important. Look at the job description, look at what you have done in the past, and make sure that you compare the two. And if there are things you have done in the job description that is not in your CV, you include it. I'm also not saying that you should copy the job description into your CV. If you do that, we will know, because it will be word for word. You just have to copy your CV and put it in any search engine. We have a lot of search tools we use. The moment you put it there, it will pick up where you pick up all those words and jargons from, and you'll be caught. Put it in your own words to reflect what you have done. Now, there are even what we call artificial intelligence tools we use. We call it ATS, or Applicant Tracking System. So when you send your CV and you use only one CV you have been using for all the roles, the system is able to match the job description with your CV. So if you meet 50% or more of the content of the job description on your CV, that is where the system will automatically shortlist you. But if you use an old CV where, even though you can do the job, the content of your CV is not synonymous with the job description or the content of the description, the applicant tracking system with the AI, the artificial intelligence system built in the system, will automatically scan your CV, compare it to the job description, and realize that you don't match. And most of the time, the match you need is 50% or above for you to be shortlisted for the next stage. So now most recruiters don't even do a lot of job. They just put it in a system. The system will scan all the CVs that have come in the job description and shortlist for him or her before he now goes ahead to do another shortlisting again. So we call that long list. Then he will do a second shortlist and then invite the candidate. So please adapt your CVs to the jobs you apply for, not one size fits role. Each role, each CV. Keep a folder on your laptop or wherever it is. Name that folder by that particular company and keep it there so that you don't use a different CV for different role. As I already said, maximum 3 to 4 pages is enough. Not more than that. Less is better. Now, when we are interviewing people, we look at gaps in the CV. So you realize somebody worked from, let's say, 2015 to 2017. And then between 2017 and 2018, there is no work done. And then he continues from 2019 to 2020. That gaps, you should have a well-prepared answer for that. Because most recruiters would want to know why you left that gap. Were you sacked from the company? Did they terminate your appointment? Is it for a bad reason? So if you put gaps in your CV, I'm not saying you should lie, you should be honest on your CV. But if you put gaps there, please be well prepared to explain your answer. And another thing is that don't tell a lie. Don't tell a lie. Because we are in a very small society where whatever you say, we can easily cross-check or reference from your former company or even your former colleagues who are in the company we are sourcing for. Now, social media is awash with a lot of information, and we can dig your past and know whether you were telling the truth or not. So please be willing to account for the gaps in your CVs. Now, you have your profile on LinkedIn, you have your profile on other social media, Facebook, and all of that. Please, I advise this. I quite remember I was doing a role, and it just occurred to me to go to Facebook and find out about the person. And that was when the person lost the job. On Facebook, you have to keep your personal brand intact. Your words, your comment, all of that comes into play. We go there to search for you sometimes. It's not all the time. We go to LinkedIn, we go to Facebook. And this particular person I talk about, I went there, and what I saw there, I just realized that the person cannot work in Vodafone. And I've done that in my former companies. I've not even interviewed the person, just by going there to find out what I saw there. So please be professional as much as possible. The kind of pictures you post, the kind of comments you make is very, very important. Stay away from politics on those social media. Be careful about your comments as well. As much as possible, you should always be learning and learning and learning. Even in my stage, I still learn. In Vodafone, we have what we call Vodafone University. There are a lot of things on that platform that I'm still learning from. Each month, I have something I study. So please always evolve. It is only those that will continually learn that will be able to land the kind of dream jobs they are looking for. I will explain more when we get down there. Now, before you go for any interview, you are supposed to research about the company. You are supposed to research about the company, the industry the company is, the particular role you are going to look for or you are going to be in. Talk to a few people in the company. Go there on time or go there before time to know where the location of the company is. Talk to a few people to get an idea of the role. Now, LinkedIn is there. You can easily connect with people who are actually in that role or have left that role. If they accept, you can go for more information from them, the kind of person they are looking for, and be able to understand the role before you go. It's very, very important. You have to understand the company's culture as well. Get as much information as you want from the company and make sure you are well armed with those information before you go. Another thing I would like to talk about is that for Vodafone, most of the roles we do, The first level, you do what you call an assessment, an online assessment. You realize that in our schools, they don't teach us how to do this aptitude test, psychometric test. But thankfully, the internet is awash with a lot of information on psychometric testing. So please be abreast with a lot of assessment tools in the market. Understand them, know how to take them. Some are speed tests, some are aptitude tests, some are personality tests, and a lot of them. Make sure you understand and assess and do a lot of practice tests so that whichever one you are faced with, you can be able to answer them. Once you have a university education, it's called universal education. It should be easy for you to be able to learn some of these things and make sure you have them at your fingertips. Now, when you are at the interview, you need to also connect with the interviewer. Some people come to the interview and you realize that they just don't have the right attitude for the job. Their dressing, their mood, their nonverbal language, the way they talk, and everything is a total turn-off. So before you even start the interview, you have already disqualified the person in your head. So please, you need to practice before you come for the interview. And this is all preparation before the interview. Now, when you have been able to land the interview and during the interview itself, you should know, I always say this, that recruitment is sales and job searching is marketing. What do I mean by that? Recruitment is where we present the opportunities to different individuals who may be suitable for the role. So it is one to many. So you push. Now, job searching on the other one, you are looking for a job. So as much as possible, you need to market yourself to as many people as possible. So even though in recruitment, the company also needs somebody. The company needs you. You also need us. So most people think that, or most interviews that we have seen, it looks like the company, they interview as if they don't even want you. It's not like that. They want to really drill you to get the best out of you. But for me, what I've seen is that in order to get the best out of the person, you need to know how to manage the person, to be able to be settled in enough to be able to speak and give out the person's best. Now, before you go for the interview or during the interview, you should know what is great about you. What have you done or what have you achieved? Now, if you are given the opportunity to work in the company, what can you add to the company? Now, when you are answering interview questions, what I advise is that each question they give you, please use an example in the past of what you have done in that particular direction to answer it. That way, it makes the interviewer identify more with you than giving hypothetical answers, which are very abstract in nature. So now we ask mostly what we call situational or behavioral questions. So we don't ask, what will you do if you are in the position? The question will be, tell me about the time you had to work in a team and then you had a challenge with one of your employees. How did you manage it? The question will not be, what will you do if you work in a team and somebody is not in tandem with you or not speaking with you? How will you manage a person? That is not the question anymore. The question is, tell me about the time when you were in a team and you had a problem with one of your employees, your co-colleagues. How did you manage it? So you realize that this one puts you on the spot instead of a hypothetical one, which you can guess the answer. So realize that most of the interview trend now asks you to put yourself in the situation rather than trying to give a hypothetical answer, which may be true or not. So in order to also get a best score for yourself, make sure you have examples to buttress every answer you give during the interview. you also have to be very observant and nice. Once we are in an interview, we in Vodafone, as an interviewer or a recruiter, we assess you on 4 levels. I observe you. Whilst I'm observing you, I'm also recording. I'm writing down whatever I need to write whilst you're answering the questions. I have a set of marking scheme, I should call it, or an interview guide of what I'm looking for. So I classify you based on how I want to assess you. And then based on the classification, we evaluate you on that. So recruiters mostly observe, record, classify you, and then they evaluate you against the other colleagues that came into the interview. So please, once you are there, be observant and nice. Make sure that your body language, your language tonation and all that are on point, because we are observing everything. Please don't speak too much when you're in an interview unless you have been asked. Most of the time, people commit themselves when they speak too much. When you speak too much to particular points, we lose track of the actual point you want to make. Secondly, it exposes you for a lot of follow-up questions who may not have been necessary, and that may expose you such that you may not be able to answer the question the way you are. So be very, very concise and consistent with your answers. If you don't know something, ask the person to clarify. If you still don't know, be honest and say you don't know. Don't try and answer it and get it wrong. Please, it's very important. Now, as for researching on most common interview questions, they are all over the net. But trust you, when you come, the same question, but the answers we are looking for are different. So as much as possible, as much as you know the questions, try and know the answers to those questions. And not just the answers, but the right answers. Because there are a lot of answers to certain questions that you think are right, but they may not be the right answers we are looking for in that particular way. Now, when you are done with the interview, you are supposed to also, or most of the time, we'll give you a platform to also ask questions. That is the time you should be able to also ask questions. And it shows your interest in the company. Most people will tell you, no, they don't have any questions. That shows me that you have not researched or you are not much interested in the company. As much as possible, read about something interesting. You can even ask, why did the last person left the role he was in before we needed to fill that role? That's a relevant question you can ask. Or you can ask, if the person is employed in the company, how do you expect the person to perform in the first 100 days in his role? What do you expect from the person? There are a lot of creative and intelligent questions you can ask that will make the recruiter know that you are interested in the company and then you are willing to join the company as well. But not just say it with your mouth. Make sure that you back it with evidence. And I mean hardcore evidence that is incontrovertible. Now, the interview session is an opportunity for you to sell yourself. Not to brag anyway, but to sell yourself and play on your strength. Now, during the interview session, your weaknesses may come out. Questions may be asked in that area. Know what we call your developmental areas where you need to improve on. So somebody will say that he lacks the ability to multitask. He does one thing at a time. But the moment you say that, you have to add that. But you have taken lessons in equipping yourself with project management and other skills that can help you to do the multitasking as well. So know your problem, but know the solution to your problem. Don't just say your developmental areas and leave it there. That is not a smart way to answer questions on your weakness or your developmental area. Also, you will be asked by all means how you are going to work in your role. Have a very perfect plan to deliver. When you are successful for the role, you should be able to list, enumerate, and tell them what you are going to do to make sure that the company achieves the best from you, and then you also become successful in the role. If you are clueless about your strategy for the role and how you are going to approach the role, you have lost the interview or the job before you even start. Also know that you are not the only person going for the interview. You are going to compete with others. So please bear in mind that you give off your best and think you are the only person in the role. Now, this third level is for executive level or senior level roles. For most of our roles in Vodafone, after the assessments or psychometric testing, you come for the interview face-to-face. You do a presentation sometimes, and then after the interview, you are done. But for very senior levels, you go through a third level. So you go through the line manager and HR recruitment interviews, and then you go to the HR director interview before sometimes you go to the CEO interview as well. In my position like this, I went through 3 levels of interviews. After the initial assessment and then a presentation, which I did, I went for the first level interview with the line manager. I went for the second level interview with the head of Center of Expertise, and I went for another interview with the HR director before I got the role. So please, after the first level interview, be prepared for a second interview in some cases. Some cases you go for second, third, fourth. But please know that you have to be consistent. And then after your first level interview, come back home, assess yourself, what you did wrong, what you could have done better, and make sure you improve on it before you go for the second interview. And know yourself, know your staff. Be consistent with what you said in the previous interview. Because before you go for that second level interview, the interview notes have been given to whoever is going to interview you. And he has an idea of what you have done, what you have said. So if you go and say something different, you are going to give yourself up. So basically, this is a kind of preparation you need for the 3 levels before the interview, during the interview, and when you're supposed to go for a 3rd level interview. This is a summary of the interview skills and interview stage you need. Now, let me delve a little bit into what I've said so far for you. Now, what do we recruiters want in this space? Now, there are a lot of factors, both internal factors and external factors. Internal factors depends on you as an individual to make sure that you have those employable skills. And when we talk of employable skills, we are talking of both soft skills and hard skills, which are demonstrable and transferable to wherever you go. Once you have those skills, we recruiters look out for that. There are other factors, which is external, which you don't have control into, but are very important for you to land the job you want to get. Now, I'll explain further in my subsequent slides. So let's go into it. I saw this diagram and I realized that it just reflected what I wanted to share with you today. So I adapted it from a colleague who shared it with me. Now, most people think that your CV alone can get you a job. It is not true. Your CV alone can never get you the job you are looking for. What actually can get you a job, your CV plays like 15 to 20% of that. You can see from the diagram below that it is not just a CV or the resume that lands you the job, but your network is very, very important in landing a job. What do I mean by that? When I have a role and I'm posting for people, I have a lot of network, recruiter network, a lot of recruiter friends. I share the job description with them. They share CVs with me. So if you are not in any of their network, you are out. I have a lot of WhatsApp groups. I share the job description with. You have a Dev Congress, Slack, a lot of platforms that I have joined that I share the job description. If you are not in any of those networks, you lose out on the job as well. So proper networking with the right people is very, very key for you to land a job. And that is an external aspect. Because if you don't belong to any network, it will be difficult for we recruiters to find you and give you the job you are even looking for. Your resume can be good as possible, but if you don't belong to the network, we can identify and find you. You will not be able to get a job you are looking for. Your past experience is also very important. And then your references, people who can recommend you. please be good to most people so that you can get a lot of people to recommend you for roles. If you don't have such people who can do that, you will be found wanting in getting the right jobs. As a recruiter, I get people recommending people and vouching for them because they believe that they can do the job. Have such people in your circles to help you land the right job you are looking for. So it's not just resume, but then you also need your references or recommendation from people, your network, and your past experience as well. Now, what are the internal factors we recruiters look out for and what you need to look at? You as an individual should ask yourself what you have to offer to the company. If you have nothing to offer, there's no way we also recruit you. Now, if you know what you have to offer, you have to identify who needs that kind of thing you are offering. So if you don't know who also needs what you are looking for, then you cannot sell yourself to the right people. You'll be just sending your CVs all around and you will still not get a job. So you have to identify in the current economy and in the current companies who needs your services and sell yourself to those companies directly and not just apply for every role you see everywhere. So know what you have and then you know who needs your services and then sell to them. Now, how do you sell to them? That is the last question. How do you make them want you? Once you know who needs it, you can then identify and sell to those people. So please, job hunting, I always say, is a job on its own. Know yourself, know who needs you, and then once you know those who needs you, you can sell to them. It's just like coming to sell a SIM card to me when I have 3 or 4 other SIM cards. I don't need it, I won't buy it. But if you identify the people who need those SIM cards and you know that they need it, when you go and sell it to them, there's no way they will not buy. So please, this technique is very important. Assess yourself, know what you have to offer, who needs it, then how do you sell to them? So in the subsequent one, I'm going to explain all these 3 points into details. Now, what do you have to offer recruiters or employers? We call it employable skills. What we need from you is your employable skills. What skills are employable in you that if we harness them, we can use them to make the company become a better company. So as I said earlier, in this era that coronavirus is collapsing a lot of companies, we are still hiring and we are not even getting the right people for the jobs because they are in short supply, but others are being laid off in the same sector. So ask yourself, do you therefore have the employable skills such that in most difficult times, you will still be needed? So as I said earlier, after 2020, 90% of jobs will require digital skills, according to the Financial Tribune, as stated in 2018. Do you have the required digital skills now? This is something you should ask yourself in terms of what you have to offer. Now, when we are doing or we are assessing people in most interviews in Vodafone now, we have something we call power skills. At first, we used to call them soft skills, but now we look at power skills. So in terms of creativity and innovation, we give you a case study, a typical practical case study in the area in which you are working. And you are supposed to come up with very innovative and creative ideas on how you will solve that particular problem. So if you're not able to give us a first hand, and you are supposed to think on your feet, it's not like we'll give it to you in advance. Sometimes we do, but sometimes then we give you about 10 to 20 minutes. Put your acts together, put something together, and come and present to us. We are also looking at your presentation skills in that way. So presentation skills is very important. Your creativity and innovation in terms of thinking on your feet, and as soon as we give you a case study in the area you find yourself, you apply your previous knowledge to be able to answer them the way you are supposed to answer them. If you're not able to demonstrate this for us, please forget it, you won't get the role. Your persuasion and negotiation skills. When you are presenting to us, you can have a very creative and innovative idea. You can be good in your job, but if you cannot talk well, communicate well in an interview, it will be difficult for you to find the role you are looking for. Sometimes we have recruited people who are very good talkatives, but are not able to execute the job. That is why we combine the technical assessment with the verbal assessment as well. But as much as possible, there are a lot of platforms you can learn persuasion and negotiation skills on. So please learn how to talk, learn how to communicate, non-verbal and verbal as well, and be able to convince the people you talk to. It's very important in this way. Collaboration is also very important. It is something you need to have. Please, you don't have it, go and look for it. What I mean by collaboration is ability to work in a team. There are so many things you cannot do alone. You need to work in a team to be able to achieve that. You need to also be amenable and adaptable. There are instances whereby you have a very strong stand, you are right, but sometimes you need to know when to give in and compromise and understand and work with your colleagues to achieve the results. The last one is emotional intelligence. This is a new word or a new assessment that has come to the market. Emotional intelligence basically talks about your ability to work with people, understand them, and work with all manner of people such that you don't have problems with them and be able to accommodate each and every one. Please, now about 45% of every person we recruit in Vodafone and in most multinationals, we assess their emotional intelligence. If you don't have that, or what you call people skills, you can never ever land the true job you are doing. Or even if you land it, you will not survive in that role and you'll be kicked out. So now we don't even look at only the IQ or IQ test. We look at the EQ or the emotional quotient or emotional intelligence test as well. So please look out for assessments on emotional intelligence and read more on that as well. These are the power skills. Previously, we called them soft skills. Now, in terms of the hard skills, you need to know what the current trend is. In Vodafone now, a lot of our roles are in the technology space because technology is having a huge lead now. Now, in the technology space, you have heard of blockchain. If you have not heard of it, go and look out for it. Please understand what blockchain is about. Cloud computing, analytical reasoning, artificial intelligence or machine learning, user interface, and UX design are certain things you need to know. These are new trends and new hard skills you need to equip yourself with. Business analysis, data analysis, sales, data mining and analytics, affiliate marketing, IoT, Internet of Things, how hardwares are able to communicate through softwares, that is the IoT. Please, these are new trends and new technologies that are evolving. Most companies are looking for people with skills and knowledge in these areas I have spoken to or have enumerated below. I'm sure Leslie will share it, so you need to have those details. If you don't have the skill sets in these particular areas, both in the power skills and the hard skills, please look at yourself again. Then you don't have a lot to offer. But if you're able to tell me that you have a lot of, or you can rate yourself about above 70 in both the power skills and the hard skills I've listed here, then you will be very, very employable. And most companies will be willing to employ you. So please redefine yourself and assess yourself per this standard. As a recruiter, this is what we look out for in most employees to know that they are employable or not. Now, how do you make recruiters find you? That is the next thing I will talk about. In summary, you have to have an effective resume. You have to have a professional network you are connected to. And you have to be very good at your interview skills. So once you have the skill set, it's not enough. You have to let the people know that you have the skill set. And how do you do that? You go through having a good resume that if any employer or a recruiter sees it, he will call you at once and interview you. You should have a very professional platform where you are connected. That is a network I spoke about. And one of those platforms is LinkedIn. Most recruiters go to LinkedIn to recruit for people. So please, if you are not on LinkedIn or any of the professional media, do that. The others is Rocket Reach and Zoom Info, just to mention a few. These are professional platforms you cannot miss. If you're on Facebook, it's good, but Facebook, mostly we don't go there to look for people. If you are on WhatsApp, it's good, but WhatsApp, we don't go to look for people. Be on these professional media platforms, LinkedIn, Rocket Reach, Zoom Info, and the rest. Now, value addition. you need to add value to yourself each day. What I mean by that is you need to be learning and relearning and continue learning. If you complete school, you don't end there. What do I mean by that? Now, in Vodafone and in most of the telecommunication companies, the people who are in high demand is application developers. And when I mean application developers, we mostly need full stack developers, not just front end or back end. What we mean by that is that people who design the mobile applications and the web applications. Now, why do we need a lot of people in the application development in Vodafone and the telecommunication? We need them because now you all know of mobile money. It was developed by the telcos. Now the banks too are catching on with it with their own banking apps, which does the same thing as mobile money apps. And it's these application developers who develop them. So now there is a high demand and they are poaching most of the people from the banking sector, from the telecommunication sector. And now their salaries too are very high. I'm not saying go there because of money. But then what it tells you is that the trend now is for application development in the technology space. So you realize that nowadays, application development too, you don't need to have a background in it before you do it. About 90% of the people say that at least they learn the application development on their own. I will go through a list of platforms you can learn or study certain things from. Now, they learn it on their own or they learn it from their colleagues. So please, just for the basics, application development is something you can look at. The second one I can think of is data analysis or data mining. It's also very important because there's a lot of data in this country and in most companies, and we don't make use of that data. So most companies need people who can turn those data into useful information. And then in order to go into data analysis, you need something we call Python or MATLAB or even common Excel. It will help you in data analysis. So even if you don't have anything and you are not even qualified in any way, look at learning something in software development. And then look at something in learning on data analysis. You can do this online. There are a lot of courses at Udemy, Coursera, to help you equip yourself in that. Once you are equipped in that and you put it on your CV and you market yourself very well, I assure you in the next 2-3 years, you'll get a job for yourself. The last one is building your professional networks. Build networks that will expand you. Build networks that will help you connect to the right people. There is a platform called Dev Congress on Slack. Once I said you know yourself, know where your skills are needed and build the relevant networks in those particular areas. It's very, very, very important. Now, I will just say a little bit about the resume because that was the first point I listed. Now, when you talk of resume, it's different from a CV or a curriculum vitae. The resume is just the 1-point page or a summary of your whole CV in just 1 page. The CV or curriculum vitae is the long-term history of your career and educational history. That is a CV. Secondly, should your CV be long or short? I've already explained it. It should be short, 3 to 4 pages maximum. Best will be 1 or 2 pages. Now, you should be careful of the font sizes of your CV as well. Some people use very loud colors. Please use just black. It's enough. Don't make it too bold or too big, 24 and all of that. We are not blind, we can see. Professional font, 12 is enough. If you want to bold in certain things, maximum 13, 14 should be okay. Spell check your CV to make sure you don't have grammatical errors. It's very, very important. Give it to somebody to proofread it for you as well. If we see a CV with a lot of typos and errors, it turns us off. So please do that as well. Your CV order should also include the most recent career first before you go to the other old ones. Some people start with their old or the job they started first. It's not right. Start with the recent one, then go down, 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 down. Also include your education and then your contact details. Make sure your email is spelled correctly. Your telephone number is also right, so that when we call you, we can get you. There are some numbers you have to guess the number which is missing and add before you can call them and get them. It is not right. I also mentioned the AI system we use. Now, we don't sit down and look at the CVs to know whether you're fit or not. It's a system called applicant tracking system that does that. That is why I said adapt your CV to the job to make you sure that you are in a good position to get a job. As I said, one CV for one role, not one size fit all. People put password on their CVs or leave their CVs on a Google Drive and expect you to go and download it. I will not go and download it. Download it yourself. Send it to us either in PDF or Word. Those are the only two formats. Don't send your CV in picture, JPEG, or PNG, or any other format. It should either be in PDF or Word. Don't put password on your CVs. There are CVs you want to open and there's password on it. For Christ's sake, why? Do you want us to look at your CV or not? There are people who call you to tell you to go and review their profile, and if they qualify, then they will send their CV. I don't have the time to go and review your profile on LinkedIn or anywhere. Send me the CV. Don't make that mistake of telling recruiters to go and look for your profile. They won't. They don't have that time, unless it's a senior role and they need you. There are a lot of people already for them to go and look at your profile before they come and tell you what you're supposed to do. Invest in proper CV writing skills. Most of the time, it's better you type it. Unless your handwriting is very nice, I don't advise you handwrite your CVs. It is cheaper to type your CVs and print it out. It's better that way too. Please, no lies when you come to the interview. And then play on your strengths rather than your weakness. Use your strengths more rather than your weakness. Everybody has a weakness, but it depends on how you play on your strength. Now, your contact details should be professional. What I mean by that is, some people have certain email addresses which are not professional at all, like mrsexy@gmail.com, sexygogo@gmail or yahoo.com. You don't use those kind of things on your CV. It is not professional. Make sure your first name, your second name, maybe nicholas.kwabena@gmail.com or kwabenamening@gmail.com. Simple. No funny names. It is the old school mentality that people still have that they bring to the world of work I was talking about. Remove that cap and wear the cap of a professional when you get into the world of work. You should be able to explain the date and gas. I've said it. Sometimes it's better you add a cover letter to explain yourself more. And the cover letter always goes with the CV. As much as possible, I don't advise you to add your picture to your CV unless the role demands that. Now I'm going to explain what a good CV is and a bad CV is. So when you look at these two CVs I have put here, on the left side, you have a CMO, and the left side has a CMO and a marketing intern. Now, why is it bad? All these CVs are bad. I'm going to explain why. If you look at the left side, he was a marketing intern between 2013 and 2015. And then from a marketing intern, you become a chief marketing officer. Totally, if I look at the CV, I know there is something wrong. You can't move from a marketing intern to a chief marketing officer straightforward. What kind of company is that? You have to go through the ranks. So sometimes you put certain job titles on your CV, managing director. Meanwhile, you're managing one or two companies, two people in a company, and you put my MD, L-Link Consult or something. Automatically, if you are MD, why would I have to come and recruit you for a role, which is maybe a sales assistant? Meanwhile, the MD role you have put there, you are doing the same sales assistant job. So why don't you put a role that is relevant, rather than going to put a high job title, which will even make me not even look at your CV in the first place? Now, if you look at the right side, that is the plan that I'm talking about. The person says he's a chief marketing officer. Meanwhile, when you look at the content of the job description, he said it was a semester-long business immersion experience in teamwork, marketing, operations, and finance. What it means that when he was in school, in a semester, he did something in that particular space, and he calls himself a chief marketing officer. So be careful of the job titles you give your roles in your CVs. Some of them, the moment you do it, hey, if you are MD, then I can't recruit you. So we will not even look at your CV in the first place. Please make sure that you avoid some of these things so that you don't become a victim of not even being called because of the job titles you have given yourself on the CV. Now, these are some of the useful information I want you to have. These are selected sites for your career. If you want a good career or where you can get a good job or you can look for jobs, I indicated identify where you can sell yourself. And these are some of the places you can sell yourself. On the left side, we have selected sites for career. So Africa Skills Hub is a good place you can start from. There are a lot of vacancies. If you are qualified, you will get it. LinkedIn is another platform you can get most of the jobs from. Glassdoor, Indeed. Hello, Leslie.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay. So the platforms are so many. I have the slides, so you can check the slides and find all of them. In Ghana too, there are a lot of job portals you can also. Now, the most important one is Google Jobs. When you just type career sites in Ghana on Google, it will bring you the Google Jobs. Now, when you click on it, you can now subscribe. So anytime there is vacancy in any of those career sites, it automatically sends it to you. So please go to Google, type career sites in Ghana, and then it will populate all the job sites in Ghana. And then you will see that create an alert. Click on the alert so that when there is vacancy, it will send to you for you to be able to get the kind of jobs you are looking for. And when you qualify, you adapt your CV and prepare for the interview. Now, I told you about adding value to yourself. There are online education platforms you can add value to yourself at very cheap rates. Udemy is one, Coursera, X, Khan Academy, Code Academy. There are a lot of them, but there's a few you can look at and upgrade and improve yourself in even the application development and then the data analysis I talk about. It is a new era, and that is what is paying a lot of people now. Irrespective of your background, you can still learn it and make sure that you are successful in this area, and you become very marketable as well. Now, there are sites to review and write your resumes. I spoke about the resume do's and don'ts. These are a few you can look at: ResumeMonk, Visual CV, Resume App, Enhanced CV, and Resume Builder. These are platforms you can go to check your CV and make sure that they are on point. Now, when you are going to prepare for interview, aside all that I've said, there are a few sites you can go to learn how to prepare for interview. They include Ace the Interview, Interview Best, Venlo, and the rest. These are sites. I'm sure the slides are there. You can follow it and get it. For lack of time, I just want to run through everything. Now, what is for a white collar job or looking for a job? I would say because of Corona, a lot of people are now in the house and they are not getting jobs. What about starting something on your own? I just want to put in this to make sure I tease your mind on starting something on your own. If all that I've said does not work for you, this is something you can do, and it's an alternative to that. Because it is not everybody who will be employed. From the statistics I gave, every year only 20% are employed in the formal sector. 80% are going to do their own job. So this is just a teaser I'm giving you. This lady you see here is called Edem. Now, she identified a passion for herself when she was in school, polishing her daddy's shoes. And she realized that, these shoes, the way I'm polishing it, I can even do a better shoe than this. So identify a passion for yourself. Now he uses python skin and salmon skin, the fish that we eat. That is what she uses to prepare shoes or make shoes for companies, individuals. It is something she identified and a passion she knew she has. And now she's making a lot of money out of it. She's dedicated to it and she's making money. Initially, it will not pay. But in the long term, you'll be earning more than somebody who is doing a white collar job. So this is an example of a lady who was able to identify her passion, put all her investment into it, and she was able to turn it around to make something good. I'm giving you a second example of a lady in Kenya. She left her biomedical course, her biomedical background, She was actually working in a company as a purchasing assistant. She left there. She saw that her mother had a 3-acre land in the village. And then she purchased some watermelon seeds, went to plant it there. We are also in the season of watermelon. Went to plant it, made sure that she got all the right information. And then within 3 months, she harvested it. She made a lot of money and invested in irrigation system so that all year round, she'll be planting the watermelon. And now she is making over 54,000 Ghana cedis a year in profit just from watermelon. She is a graduate. I only wanted to present the two fronts to you. When you are in a white collar job, what you need to do. And do you know how much she started with? She didn't start with a lot of money. She didn't start with a lot of money. If you read through the information, you realize how much she started with. She didn't start with about 1,000 Ghana cedis. 1,000 Ghana cedis. That is what she started with, if you convert it. So I made a mistake of even including 10,000. It was about 1,000 Ghana cedis. That is roughly $200. That is what she started with, watermelon. She had a farm in the village, and she made it out of that. Look at what is around you and what you can make out of it. It is very important in this direction. Now, as a graduate, where do you start from if you are in the house? I've listed just 5 of the platforms you can get a lot of freelance from. Freelance means that you can go there, register a profession in which you are. You can be a poem, a writer. I am a recruiter. I am on a platform called Upwork. That's the second one. Solid Gigs is there. Fever is there. Fever R. Cloud Peeps. There are a lot of them. So for Upwork like this, I have registered there as a certified recruiter. Now, and I don't even do recruitment only in Ghana. I earn dollars. I mean dollars. And I have put my rate there, $20 per hour. $20 per hour on Upwork. So if somebody in UK, US, wherever needs somebody to recruit for him, and he goes to Upwork, he will find my profile there. If he sees that, and a lot of people give me recommendations. So if he sees all of them and he's interested in me, he will just hit me up, send me the request. I recruit, and I charge him for the number of hours I use to do the recruitment. I get free money to chop. That is having a second stream of income or a second source of income. So these 4 key platforms, there are a lot of them. Please look at them, go there, register a profession for yourself, something you are good at, and you start getting connections and contacts, and you start having something to do and earning something. And this is hard-earned currency in dollars, and they pay per hour. This is another thing I want to introduce you to. As I said, this session, I wanted it to be practical, and I wanted it to introduce you to a lot of platforms so that you don't only look at getting a white collar job or a blue collar job, but the other options we have overlooked up to now. So this is employment for you in this area as well. And once you get these skills from working in this area and you add it on your CV, you can go back to the formal sector or in getting a white collar job as well. I just want to leave you with a video. Now, one that I want you to do is, if you want to assess your skills and know whether you have the competent skills you need to be in the world of work, I advise you go to the platform called futurejobsfinder.vodafone.com. We in Vodafone have made this platform for each and everyone who wants to know that he or she has the required skill set to do certain jobs, to be able to do that. So once you go there, you sign up, you enter your details, and then you answer a few questions. Based on the way you answer it, it will give you an idea of what job they think, or the system thinks that you'll be good at doing. That way, you're able to identify that with this skill set, I can be good at becoming a web, a data analyst, or a web developer, or a salesperson, or this or that. So please, if you want to give it a hand, go to futurejobsfinder.vodafone.com. Now, I want to leave you on a lighter note of somebody I saw on the internet, and I saw he was doing a good work with what he's done by carving a niche for himself. I will click on the video to play, but I just want to give you a background to it. He is a fine ice seller, and he sells fine ice. But you realize that he's not just a normal fine ice seller you will see. He's been able to add something to the fine ice he's selling. And through that, he's been able to win the hearts of a lot of customers who are able to come to him to buy. So even if you don't want to buy, because of the way he does his things, you will be willing to buy from him. I'm trying to see if the video will play, and then I'll play it for you, and I'll give you a narration. If it doesn't,
if it doesn't, just send it to me. I'll post it in the chat and also send it to our group. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, I will share the slides. So, guys, I will share the slides. Yeah.
Okay. So I leave you to these few things to think about. That is the end of my presentation. I did this with the able support of Leslie. So I've shared his contact and my contact, and then my email and Leslie's email. And then if you need further information, you can get it from www.africansaleshub.com or contact Leslie for every information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kwame. This is a wonderful presentation. I mean, you've actually answered a lot of questions that were on my mind, and I think I'm going to go straight to. Normally, we do this call within an hour, and I think because yours worth it, and also you've tried to take us through a lot of. I mean, it's a great presentation. You can see the comment that is a great presentation. You've covered every area of looking for a job, also preparing yourself for a future of work. So now I'm going to open up the stage. If you have any question and you think you can't, I mean, you want to speak, I mean, you can also just so I'm unmuting all of you. So please, I've unmuted all of you. So in case if you have any question, you can just ask. Hello. Okay. Okay, so I think people they'll ask a question. Let me read the question that they're asking. So, okay, so I think everyone is just saying a useful presentation. I think you've able to cover everything. So if you can copy the link and put the link on the chat, that'll be fine. So if you can copy the link and put the link on the chat, once we go through there, I mean, you've answered every question on our mind. And I think what just go back and just listen to the presentation each and every time just to get ourselves.
Hello, Leslie.
Yes, Michael, can hear you. Yeah, Michael.
Okay, just a quick one. Mr. Nick, you're a big man. This is one of the best skills I've had so far. It's very, very useful. Thank you so much. My question is, if you are asked a question during an interview session and you don't have the answer, what's the approach? What do you do? Do you tell them, I don't know, or you just give them an eye contact, or, I mean, what do you do when you don't have a readily available answer, you know? And then secondly, with the LinkedIn has a lot of features that a normal 3-page resume or CV will not allow you to. So how do you incorporate that? Because usually when I'm sending my CV to recruiters, I add my LinkedIn link, but it is through your presentation that I got to know probably it is needless, so I have to discontinue doing that, you know. And then thirdly, okay, you answer the two, and then from the subsequent ones, I'll ask my boss, Leslie.
Okay, thank you. So for the first one, if you don't know an answer, please ask the interviewer to clarify. So he should explain himself further. And you can even ask him to use an example to demonstrate what he wants to ask. That way, if he's able to use an example to demonstrate, and you also ask him to clarify, it gives you time to think about it. And it gives you time to also know what to say. So while he is clarifying, and you go further to ask him to demonstrate with an example, and he does that, after that, I'm sure a lot of clues will have been given on what he is expecting from you to be able to answer. But if still, after all of that, you still don't have an answer, you cannot be a jack of all trades. You will not be able to know everything. In the interview, as I said, you don't have to, I'm reading some of the comments, that's why I paused. In the interview, as I said, you don't have to lie. And by not lying, it means you tell the truth. So if you don't know it after the technique of asking him to clarify, asking him to use examples, you still don't know, please don't try to attempt and disgrace yourself. Just tell him you don't know. As simple as that. Now, you spoke about LinkedIn. I don't know if I got your question right about a long CV or a short one. Is that what you said?
Yes. So usually you have a lot of achievements. You've worked with a lot of places. So how do you compress it? You know, I got it from Leslie during one of his sessions that a CV shouldn't be more than 3 pages. But sometimes you you worked at places and some of them are very useful. You'd want to show them that you know you have a lot of wherewithal or work experience. So how do you compress it? You know, with LinkedIn you can do that, but on a 3-page it is difficult. So how do you make it very useful?
Thank you. Some people even have just a 1-page CV. So now, as I said, but I'm sure we all did summary when we were in school, or you didn't do summary. If you are very good at presentation skills, you realize that PowerPoint is a whole lot of documents you just put in one slide to be able to reflect yourself. So if you cannot compress your CV into 2-3 pages, then you have to go back and learn more about summary and presentation to be equipped with doing that. Now, the trick is, no recruiter will have time to read about 10-page or 11-page CV. There are a lot of CVs he is going through. So you send the 2-3-page CV, which will catch his eye to read it. And then if he now sees that you are a good person and he wants to interview you, and he invites you for an interview, that's when you have landed the interview. You can now send that long page CV to him if he cares to read. But not at the first stage where he will not have time and he's scouting through a lot of CVs, about 1,000 applications for one role. He wouldn't have the time to do that. So if you think that you have done a lot of jobs and that you need to include all of them, you'll be doing yourself a lot of disservice by including them there. And he will not even look at it in the first place, but look at the person with the 1-page or 2-page. So as much as possible, if you cannot compress your CV into 2 to 3 pages, I've shared the different websites you can go to and get professional advice or professional help on how to compress those CVs into just 2 or 3 pages. So you don't need to do it yourself. There are experts who can help you to do that for you. So don't just look at yourself, think outside the box and go externally as well. I hope I've answered your question.
So Nick, I'm answering the other question on the chat.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Nick.
Yes, I'm here.
But the question is, so can a job applicant who has the required skill but lacks the qualification such as certificate still apply for the position? Look at the question on
who has the required skill. So that particular example, I remember when we were doing, I told you about the developer, application developers. when we were doing that role, we had somebody who had studied the application development on his own. And then he was very good at what he was doing, but he didn't have a degree. And we also needed somebody with a degree. So now what do? When we came to the actual practical work, because our work, we do a lot of practical, the person was top notch. He knew what he was doing, but he didn't have the qualification. So what we did was that the person had started a degree program. We still took the person on and then give some time for the person to complete his degree and continue with the work. So what we needed most was a skill set, and he had it, but he didn't have the qualification. And these developers, they are very rare to find. That is why I'm saying that it's an area most of these guys on the call can venture into. And you can learn it on your own or online. So it is in high demand now, and you realize that a lot of young guys are going to it. And the salary for that particular range is high. It's a season, and that's the season now. A time will come, we will not need it again. But for now, that is the venture into that area. You may not have the skill set, the qualification, but once you have the skill set and you're able to demonstrate it, a company that is good like Vodafone can still admit you, put you on a course, on a training, because education never ends, and learn and get yourself the qualification you need. I hope I've answered it.
Yeah, I think another thing I've also seen is that currently I was interviewing a guy for a CTO role, and his first degree was in nursing, and the guy he's a top-notch developer. And I asked him, why? Having a first degree in nursing, and he works for Andela and other companies, and he was like, look, the first degree I had, that was my passion, but I did the first degree all right. But for me to go and do this first degree in nursing and other courses, it has given me a lot of ideas, and that's helping me to learn all this coding and programming. So I think many times we think that because we have the first degree in accounting and marketing, we can't switch. We can't, and I think that's a mistake most of us does. And we need to look out for those areas. I think there's a question on the page as well. If you can answer the question now whilst we wrap up here.
Okay. Can a job applicant, no. Please, is it advisable to ask the amount you will be paid with during an interview? It's a big no. A big no.
We need the money, so why shouldn't we ask?
Yes, you need it, but you don't ask it. Currently, as I'm talking to you, I'm making an offer for somebody. And now, I have presented an offer we can do. And the guy is asking for like twice that amount. Because now he has seen that we need him. So now this is the time for him to also flex us and show us that, yes, he's worth it. So forget it. If you are the right person for the candidate, the company will come back to you. And that is when you show them that, yes, you can chop money and you like money. Not at the beginning of the interview. Forget about it. Pretend as if you don't even know. Because at the end of the day, when you are successful for the role, we will come back and make an offer to you. And as a candidate, you have every right to come back and say that, please add something more to it. That way you can show us that you like money. Then we will still even be begging you that we'll add something small to it. But beginning of the interview or during that stage, you are not the only person. And sometimes salary alone can make we disqualify you because your salary is too high or because you are too money conscious. You don't have to show it at the beginning. But when we have made the offer to you and you are the best person we fit for the role, and we have come back to you and make an offer to you, that is when you can negotiate and ask for a better salary. And most people hold us to ransom that way. You can negotiate for even a month and you have not finished. Because you send him the offer, he will tell you small, add something small. If you don't add, I will not come. And we would rather be begging the person. So you see where the trick is. You don't do it at the beginning, you do it at the end.
I think for Kwabena, I mean, anyone you send any GD to, the first question they ask is, okay, how much is the salary? I mean, that question always comes up. People, I feel like, I mean, the person wants to see the kind of energy they'll put in the application.
You see, as I'm saying, it is very true that we all need money, but you don't show it that you need the money. If I send you a JD and your first thing you ask me is how much is the salary, it's a very good question. It's a very legitimate question, because sometimes they will tell you, if I know the salary range and it's not up to what I'm earning, then I won't worry myself.
Exactly.
Exactly. But you realize that there are instances whereby even though you may be earning higher than the salary we are paying you, let's say you are the CEO of a small company and you become maybe just a manager role in Vodafone. It is not only the money aspect you are looking at, but you are looking at the training, the cloud, and the competencies and everything that comes with working in Vodafone.
Yeah.
So we don't look at offers just on the monetary value of what you take home, but a whole package. And then what comes to you as a total package, the cash benefit and the non-cash benefit. So if you only ask of the salary and you say the salary is small, so you will not come, you may lose, because there are some companies, they won't give you a lot of cash, but the non-cash benefits is so much that you can actually live on it for the rest of your life and you not even use your salary. That is why I'm saying that to just ask of the salary and just use that as a decision will be a mistake. Ask of the whole package, all that you are getting, put it together and compare it with your current one. And that one you can only do it at the end of the interview when you have received that. So that is a mistake people make, but that is the advice I will give.
Hello, Nick.
Yes.
So usually it's the other way around, the vice versa. They ask you, so how much do you want us to pay you? So how do you respond to that? Sometimes if you mention a low figure, they think you don't know your worth. If you mention a high figure, they will think you are charging too much. You know. So if that question is asked, and I think thoroughly, Yima can admit that they usually ask, so how much do you want us to pay you, or that kind of thing. How do you address that? And then, secondly, when you have gaps in your CV, what do you do? How do you explain it?
Okay, let me
because
tell
now
you.
There's a lot of unemployment in the system.
Exactly. It is not your fault that you are unemployed, but the reason why you are unemployed is what we are looking for. So if you are unemployed because you were sacked, why will I employ you? Please, do you get it? So the gaps can be there, but the reason for the gaps is very important when we are interviewing you. So get very cogent and important reasons. I'm not saying don't have gaps. You should have the gaps. It's very important if it is necessary, because you don't have to lie on your CV. But in as much as the gaps are there, give very valid and cogent reasons. Because as I said, if you lie, maybe your colleague is working in Vodafone, your former colleague is working in Vodafone. Maybe we can just go and call your company and ask a few questions. Or the person recruiting has a friend in the company in which you are. Just a phone call. I remember one role. The guy said he was an HR manager of the company in which he was. Oh no, he's an HR officer. And he has sent his CV to the company. So the other company that was recruiting just called, the HR there knew the HR of the company the guy was, and called, this person has sent his CV. That is the HR manager of the company. And the HR director of the other company said, he's just an HR officer here. There and there, you have lost the job. You understand? So be very honest with what you say and don't lie. If there is gaps, explain it and explain it well. There are people, you never have a job. It's possible some will have throughout. Some may not have it throughout. There will be gaps, but explain it. Even another technique you can use is, I don't think SNET will give you that information. But if we can even ask you for your SNET printout. And if there are gaps and we get your SNP printout, we'll be able to know which time you were contributing and which time you were not contributing. And when you match it with the CV, you realize that, Charlie, now we did a draw. So there are so many ways you can be found out. So be honest and make sure you don't tell a lie, but have a cogent and a sensible reason for those gaps. Now, the first one, they ask you, how much will your salary be? I ask that question all the time. Now, why do I, as Nicholas, ask it? I want to know whether I can pay you. So now, there is no right or wrong answer to that particular question, because you can never get it right unless you have an insider who will tell you about that particular salary for that particular role. When you'll be able to, and people also say that as per the role, the company has their remuneration. So based on their remuneration structure, you are willing to accept the amount that is assigned. The company knows that already. It's not you who is coming to tell us that. We know the salary for that role, so we should give you that amount. We just want to know your affordability rate. And one thing I always say is that me as Nicholas, looking at my worth now and what I see myself as being worth for, if I'm quoting my salary of how much I'm looking at, I know I am worth that amount of money. So there is no reason why I will hesitate to say I need it. Unless, and let me tell you another thing. When I was coming to Vodafone, I really wanted to be in Vodafone because of the nature of the company and what I was stand to get and benefit. So when I came to Vodafone, I actually took less than what I was earning in my previous company. In my previous company, I was recruitment manager for Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, SGS. But here I'm recruitment specialist for only Ghana. But if you look at the scope and what I do here, it's more than what I was doing there. Please, do you get it? So I was looking at the challenge, I was looking at the scope of work, looking at the institution or the telcos, and I've had a lot of experience in the oil and gas. I've had in the telecom recruitment agency, and I needed another sector industry experience. So now I have oil and gas, I have services, I have recruitment agency. Now I have telco. So now I have experience across. So my reason was why I quoted the salary I quoted. So you should be very strategic in this particular direction. Know what you want in that particular company. And even if you have to take a lesser salary, quote it like that and mean it. Otherwise, in my former company, that is before I came to Vodafone, it was not even an interview we went to. It was a chat. They called me. We went to chat. They asked me how much I would take. Then I calculated my salary as I was taking in the recruitment agency. And then this is what I'm earning. I need plus, let's say, 40% of this amount, and I'm willing to come to join you. That is what I did. And they even gave me more than 40% of what I was taking there. So I listed all my benefits, all my salary, and then I said, this is what I'm taking now. I need plus 50% of this or better, and I will join you. They did it, and I came. So please, when I came to Vodafone, I took less than what I was earning in my former company. So please, it's not always salary. Look at the situation, look at what you stand to benefit, look at the dynamics, and then decide on how much you are quoting. And whatever amount you quote, mean it. It should be well researched and not just quoting a figure. Otherwise, you will not land the job.
So I think you've done there's a last question on the page. So let's answer that one and wrap up. He said, okay, I think 3 questions. Please elaborate on the difference between resume and a cover letter. I think there's a clear difference. So
yes. So resume is a 1-page summary of your career and educational background, your contact detail, and all of that. It's like a CV, but summarized into 1 page. Now, the cover letter is like, how will I put it? An application letter, I should call it, where you state your experience, what you have done, and why you think you qualify for the particular role which you are applying for. So the CV or the resume will support your cover letter. Okay. I hope I've answered it.
Yeah, you've answered it. And then there's a question. How can one apply for internships with no role description? Meaning, how can you get the right words for your resume without a job description? Okay, so if there's no JD and you want to apply for a job, let's say you've asked me to send my CV to you, Nick. I don't know the job, I don't know the role, there's no, how do I write my CV?
Okay, so one, you have to research. Now, if you're applying for Vodafone internship like this, you clearly state what you are coming to do. An internship mostly is for organizations to give employees or fresh graduate training. So you don't need to have any prior experience in that space. Now, most of the time, if I'm going to apply for internship in, let's say, GE or Vodafone or MTN, just Google MTN internships. When you Google MTN internships, you realize that, when you Google MTN internships, you realize that all the internship adverts that has been managed by MTN in the past will come out. And one or two of those adverts will indicate what they are looking for. If you don't find MTN internships in Ghana or Vodafone internships in Ghana, go to Vodafone Global Internships. And I'm sure one of the countries may have listed internships, what they are looking for. Use that as a guide to put your CV together and you will still get what you are looking for. If you still don't get it, you can call the company, speak to the HR, and understand what they are looking for. It's just a phone call away.
That's a good one. What's the meaning of the term related field in job advertisement? I don't understand the question. Do you understand, Kwabena?
Yeah, related field means that we are looking for experience in a field similar to what you have done in the past.
Okay.
So if, let's say, we are in the telecom space, we are looking for a related field. It means that so if it's Vodafone, maybe you have worked in Airtel Tigo, Espresso, or the service providers like Huawei, or any of the Ericsson and other companies that are similar to the telcos. So that is what we mean by we want experience in a related field.
Hello, Kwabena, there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so yeah, we can hear you. Is there any other question? I think we've taken almost an hour and 40 minutes. Kwabena, so thank you so much for your time this evening. I think you've really taken us through what we need to do. And I think I'll share the video so that people can get access to it, to be able to listen to it, because you've really done a good job on this presentation. And some are asking for it. So I will share his details on the page, and I also request for the presentation and share with you guys. So please, if you are not part of our group, kindly join the group and you'll get access to all this information. Okay. So thank you so much, Kwabena. Your final words, then we say goodbye.
Okay. I want to thank everybody who was able to make it on this call. Thank you for listening to me. And I'm just a phone call away. Leslie has all my details. If you need me, you just speak to Leslie and I'll be just a phone call away to listen to you.
Thank you so much, Nick, and God bless you. So guys, let's on our microphone and let's say bye-bye before we hang out.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Abdul, bye-bye. Comfort, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So